All right, let's get back to that story then. Still with us, spokesperson for the SIU, Kaizer Kganyago. Dr. Kganyago, good evening and thank you very much for your time. It was a contract awarded in April 2020 from the looks of things. Only now, in October 2023, would you have received this award to review and set this contract aside? And one would ask, what would be the benefit of that 3 years later?
Thank you very much, Thabo, and thank you to the listeners. The benefit of it is that when this contract now is set aside, we now are saying to those people, even though they have been paid, they cannot now benefit from an unlawful contract. Therefore, that is why, even though the contract was of a bigger amount, we are now saying 1.7 million must now be brought back with interest from that time back to the Department of Transport. Because the reason why we only receiving these judgments now is because they were contested, some of them. And in this particular instance, there were 3 or so companies that were involved, and 2 of them, one being this one called the Green, I forgot now what
Ecko
Green.
Yeah.
Ecko Green Environment, and the other one that we called Mr. Law. Both of them were provided to the department by the CEO of Santaco. And we also traced in both of them that he received 220,000 rand from Ecko Green and then about 200,000 rand from this other one called Mr. Alok. But the Mr. Alok one was then dealt with in the 2nd of May, and then they are supposed to pay their money. But this one now came up together with the one in the post-state.
How does a Santaco official manipulate department processes? I mean, how do you place a company that's not on the database into the system?
You remember at the time about an issue of people thinking that it was laissez-faire. Everybody will benefit from whatever is happening. Therefore, they never thought that there was time where we needed to make sure that we follow processes. Therefore, when we come in and ask the questions, then we find all of these things. And when we ask, they tried to even lie to us and lie to the court to say, no, there was work that was done by this particular Nkululeko Buthelezi. They said he was doing some advisory services and so on, but the judge refused that and said that cannot be the case.
So now what happens, because clearly it's not just Nkululeko Buthelezi because he would not have had access, but there are officials within the department. Did they benefit equally from this contract, as you have traced the 420 or so thousand that went to the Santaco official?
Yeah, we can only look at the people that were involved, but then those that were in the department that were involved, we have already referred those matters to the department because we are not the employer. The employer in this case will be the department who will then deal with those that are still in their employ. And that is something that will be dealt with separately. We'll have to check how far that is so that we were able to follow up. And then the criminal side then goes to the NPA, as I always say.
So how do you get to the amount? You're saying the amount is derived from the profits that would have been gotten from this contract and the interest. Interest of how many months?
Yes, the court, when they rule, they then look at, they ask you to bring documentation to say how much did you spend on this to buy these things. Then they then are able to say to you, okay, that we can give you, leave with you because it's money that you had and you spent. But anything that you have made, any cent that you have made above that as interest, as profit, we are going to take it back because you cannot benefit from an unlawful contract. Therefore, then the court decide to say, you have paid this money on this day, we want interest from that day up until today.
Yeah, but one would say then, why would that be a penalty? I mean, if it takes me back to the original position I was in, I have not really been sanctioned in any way except for the loss of profit.
Yeah, but from that particular day when the money was paid to you, including this profit, because you only pay the interest on the profit, you were now in a better position. If that money was put in the department's bank account, it would have yielded interest. Therefore, it did not, because it was in your bank account and it yielded interest for you. Therefore, it is not setting you back in any way.
Yeah. But, I mean, the other question would be, how much did the SIU spend in pursuit of this 1.7 million? It would be in that region, would it not?
Not necessarily. Like I said to you earlier on, Thabo, we were not only dealing with this particular case, we're dealing with many other cases in one. Therefore, we were dealing with the Department of Transport. Therefore, the companies that might have been involved there would have been these two that I was talking about. And then there would also be another company called C Squared, which we, for now, we have lost the matter against them, which we are looking into to see what went wrong so that we can see how to rectify that. And then there was also another company called K21201313875, which was also involved. Therefore, all of those together we did in one case. Therefore, it was not individual cases.
And what is going to then happen with the other individual who's an chief executive officer at Santaco in terms of recovering the monies that would have been paid to him?
Yeah, the issue is those that were paying to him, they paid it to him. If he doesn't pay it back to them, it is their loss, because we want the money. They would have paid him out of the profit. We want the profit completely as it is. Therefore, it will be their loss. But also, the criminal side of it is the one that will then deal with the issues of criminality around it, because it doesn't disadvantage us as the SIU. It doesn't also disadvantage the department, because when that money comes back, it goes back to the department as the whole profit. It's not minus the money that was paid to him.
So you are saying, of course, this particular matter was already caught up in some legal challenges. Do you expect that this particular award by the SIU Tribunal is also going to be challenged?
This is a result of it having been challenged. That is why I'm saying there is a C Squared was able to succeed in their challenge against us. Therefore, we are looking into that particular one to look at, study the judgment and understand what really happened, so that we can see whether there is a need for a way forward. But therefore, this is for us the end in terms of these other companies. This money has to be paid within a specific time.
All right, Kaizer Kganyago, I appreciate your time as always. Thank you very much for coming on, speaking on behalf of the SIU. There is Kaizer Kganyago.